So, just a short recap. You've organised your visa, you've got your flight tickets, you've made your online booking confirmation for a hotel. Remember, this applies for the spouses of Filipinos and returning Filipinos, not OFWs. You will be allocated a hotel when you arrive, but the others, you need to fill in that. Make sure you've done your booking. You have the health declaration card. Remember, this one needs to be completed. And again, this will be presented when you get to the airport. You've done your electronic COVID investigation form. Okay, you've completed that, you've submitted it, and you've got your barcode and your code for proof that you've actually submitted your application. And then finally, what we've covered so far is your payment and your payment receipt, which you need to bring with you as well. So all of this documentation you need to keep. It's really, really important that you have printed copies of it so that you can use it to show to the people who are really very, very polite. They are very helpful, very supportive at the airport as you arrive. Now, it is very well organized. I have to say it's regimental, but that's great. Okay, at the end, they are doing their job to protect both the country of the Philippines, but also you as well. Your part is making sure that you do as you are required to do, and make sure that you wear your mask constantly and you keep a distance. Keep the distance as marked out on the floor. Okay, so that is the first part of the documentation stages. So I would suggest that what you do is you complete your documentation as soon as you can. Don't leave it till the last minute, with the exception of the electronic COVID investigation form. That can only be done 3 days prior to your arrival, okay? But the rest of the forms you can do in advance. So what you then will need is you will then on the plane be given an arrival card. Now, in the past, you've always had to fill these in anyway, and it's just the same little form, little sheet that has all your details about where you're coming from, what your flight number is, where you're going to be staying, contact details, why you're visiting, etc., etc. You will need to complete this form, and although, again, on the aeroplane, they actually said to my wife she did not need to do it, actually she did. So this applies to all categories. So that's OFWs, overseas foreign workers, returning Filipinos, and their spouses. Everyone needs this. Now, this is what you will present after you've done your COVID test and as you go through immigration as part of passport control. So you will need to present this along with your passport and maybe show the visa within your passport, although the staff that are there are very well organized and they do know what they're doing. Okay, so we've got through that. You've now gone through immigration, okay, and you go down to the baggage hall and you think, oh, great, I'm nearly there. Well, you are, but you've still got a few other little things that you have to do. So when you get into the baggage reclaim area, the first thing that you have to do is you will go to the area where you again have to show your hotel booking form and another form that you have to have completed, which is the affidavit of undertaking. Now, what this is this is a form that basically just confirms your responsibility in relations to making sure that you have not been in touch with anybody who has got COVID. You give your address. What then happens is when you go to a desk, this will be signed, countersigned by one of the staff, just to confirm that everything is okay. Keep it handy because you will need it at a number of different stages. Now, one thing I did forget actually is after you've finished your COVID test, you will get a stamp on your hand just to prove that you've gone through the COVID testing area. Now, this is where things slightly differ. If you are a returning Filipino, not an OFW, if you are the spouse of a Filipino, you will have booked a hotel. You will have shown your booking form with the affidavit. Now, if you are an OFW, you will not have had a booking form for a hotel. You will have done the affidavit, but not a booking form for the hotel. So what you will then do is you will then move across to another section. In that section, what will happen is you will then be allocated a hotel for your quarantine. Now remember that as an OFW with your own children, for example, okay, you have a free hotel that is allocated to you. Okay, they will then allocate you a hotel, and you will be arranged with transport to be taken to that hotel. Whereas returning Filipinos and spouses of Filipinos, you need to book it in advance. So you complete all that, you do all of those documentation, and then finally you get to the baggage reclaim. Now, you're more or less finished at this stage. The only thing that's left to do is to collect your baggage, and then you can make your way out through customs and make your way, if you like, into the arrivals hall. Now, we all know what it's like in Manila when you get in that arrivals hall. My goodness, there's so many people, the same as in many airports. However, during this time, that is not the case. People are not allowed into that location. The only people that can come into that location are the people that are arriving or people that are working in the airport. As you exit the arrivals section, you will need to give your affidavit of undertaking to a security personnel. This again will prove that you've gone through the process. And then as you exit the terminal building, you will have in front of you the pickups. Now again, as an OFW, you will be allocated as in groups to go to your allocated hotel. If you are a returning Filipino or a spouse, you just look out for your hotel pickup. So again, that is something that you need to organise with your hotel when you make your booking so that they are ready for you. The whole process took for me, because I'd done all my documentation, I'd paid for my COVID test. For me, it took just under 1.5 hours, which actually was not too bad when you think about the whole process that you have to go through. To recap, okay? Firstly, what I would suggest, if you do look at the Philippines Red Cross website, because on there it gives you a lot of information and it helps you to take you through the process. It helps you if you are a spouse in relations to a list of hotels that you can book prior to arrival. And what it also does, it helps you to access other forms as that I've already mentioned for you to download and complete. So let's just go over it quickly. So the first thing you've got is your visa. Please remember, if you are a spouse of a Filipino, only those will be allowed into the country. You must have your visa. No visa, no access. Okay, please remember that. You need to have your hotel booking confirmation form. You must have that with you. You might need it before you even get on your flight, but you will certainly need it when you arrive in Manila. The first form that you will be expected to give over when you arrive is the health declaration card. Again, very straightforward, very easy. It has all your data on. A lot of these things actually repeat the same sort of information, but they are required because they are going to potentially different areas of the management of the whole process. You then need to make sure that you've completed your ESIF. Now remember, this is the electronic COVID investigation form. This is on the Red Cross website. You go through the process, you fill it in, it has all the details, where you're going to stay, where you're coming from, etc., etc. When you upload it, and remember, they will want a copy of your passport. When you upload it, they will then send back to you an email to your personal email address, which will include your date, your code, and also your barcode. You must print that off and keep that with you. If you're an OFW, remember, you don't need to pay for your test. Okay, that is really important. Your test is free. However, if you're a returning Filipino or you are a spouse of a Filipino, you will be required to pay for the test. Now, you can pay for it when you arrive, but I advise you not to. Okay, it will prolong your journey through the airport. The best thing for you to do is to make sure that you've paid in advance. Again, it's what, 4,136 pesos. The process is very straightforward. So after you've completed the first part of the ESIF, there is a link that says pay for your COVID test. Okay, so you can do that. You do that online, and it's very, very easy to do. But again, once you've done it, you'll get an email that will be proof of your payment. Take that with you as well. Now, one of the things that I didn't really mention earlier on, but I really should bring it in at this point, is that it is important that you can provide medical cover proof whilst you're in the Philippines. Now, this could be very difficult for expats, for spouses of Filipinos, because many countries are refusing to give any medical cover at this time. However, there are certain providers that are international providers that will provide this for you. I can't really promote them online because it would be unfair to do so. However, if you would like to contact me separately, then I will help you and give you some advice of people that you can possibly use. I know if you're coming from the UK, it's very difficult because the insurers will not insure you because the Philippines is not as one of their safe countries, as they put it. But you need it. It is important. Now, if you're flying with Emirates, a key thing to remember is this. Currently with Emirates, you will get a 31-day coverage against any COVID-related issue. This is free and part of your booking. This is another good reason why I used Emirates, because 31 days, free cover, it covers you from the time you actually take off to the end of the 31-day period. Now, like me, you may have stopped off in another country. I stopped off in Dubai. It doesn't matter. The 31 days started from when I left the UK. Okay, so that medical provision is for everybody. It's for OFWs, it's for returning Filipinos, and it's also for the expats oblique spouses of Filipinos. Okay, so you need to make sure that you do have that medical cover. The next stage is the arrival card. Remember, the arrival card is something that we always had to do anyway. You can get that on the plane, or you can get that when you actually get into the immigration after you've done all your COVID tests. Complete it, ready to hand in. And remember, either have your spouse with you, make sure your spouse is in the country, or have a copy of their passport. You will then be stamped through immigration. You go through to the next stage, the arrivals hall. In the arrivals hall, you have to submit your affidavit of undertaking, and you will again have to prove that you have your hotel booking. Remember, if you're an OFW, you will not have a hotel booking. That will be allocated for you and your children, but not your spouse. Your spouse will still have to pay. Okay, so once all that's complete, like I said, it's very, very straightforward. Pick up your luggage, start to leave, and just give in your affidavit of undertaking. Okay, so look, that's all of the documentation process. Sorry that this has been a bit of a long posting, but there is a lot to cover. In the next posting, what I will do is I will cover the process as you're going through the airport and in relations to what happens when. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope that you found it informative. Please press the like button on the screen, and also it would be great if you could subscribe, and then you will automatically be informed as I do the next stage of the process. Okay, thanks a lot for your time, and again, I hope this has been helpful.